Hey guys, what is going on? We're going to looking at the playoff stage now of the Boston Major, of course. Got the bracket right here. If you don't know what the bracket looks like, I'm not quite sure what you're doing watching this video, but whatever, feel free to stay. So the first game I'm going to look at towards is Faze and Mousesports. This is obviously a matchup we've seen recently, the ECS finals, where it went to 3 maps, all maps very close. So for this one, I'm going to actually not just pick a team, I'm actually going to go through what I think the Vetoes will look like and have a look at some of the player distributions. So on this one here, it's the last 3 months on LAN. These are the stats you're seeing here. Basically, I thought 1 year was too much, and I was too lazy to put in a custom date. But I think 3 months is good enough for most teams. There's been a lot of CS in November and a bit in December, so I think we get an idea of what's going on here. So straight away moving into it, Faze on here on the left, this is Mousesports on the right. You can see both teams like Mirage. However, both teams have a permaban, and as you can see here, Faze is this Cobble, Mouse is Overpass. Mouse is definitely going to ban Overpass here. There's no doubt in my mind that's their permaban. You can see they never really played except this once. They're always going to permaban it, and then that's a bit of weird movement, but whatever. And then I think Cobble has been Faze's permaban in this tournament so far. They've let Nuke through 1 or 2 times, even though Nuke is a bad map for them as well. They kind of had two dodgy maps. Mouse is better on Nuke than they are on Cobblestone, so Carrigan could throw in a Nuke ban here, but their standard is a Cobblestone from what I've been seeing. So I think it's probably going to be Cobblestone ban, which leads obviously to Mouse picking Nuke. Or if it's the other way around, if I'm Mouse, I don't know if I'm picking Cobblestone. I think you still probably would against FaZe. You have a good chance because of how weak they are on it. But I think Cobble is going to go out and it's going to be Nuke for Mousesports. And then it's going to be an Inferno pick for FaZe. So obviously they're very strong on it. Not a great map for Mousesports. 0% over 3 games. They don't play it very often. As you can see here, they played it a couple of times at ECS finals where they lost both times to Astralis, and one to FaZe. Did take them to overtime, but I think FaZe is just too strong on Inferno. It's a pretty easy pick for Carrigan. Next, the Cash ban's going to come out for Mouse. I think this one's pretty standard. 1 map played on it. FaZe are no slouches on Cash. You saw them just take down SK to take that 3-0 spot in the finals here, so I think they're quite comfortable playing that map. Obviously an aim related map, which is what FaZe are very good at. So I think they've got to take away Cash, which leaves these 2 maps here, depending on what FaZe wants to ban. They can go either way here. They can straight just go, we're gonna play you on Mirage, your best map, and we're just gonna show we're better than you, and play the more dominant team. Or I think Train would be the smarter pick here, and I think Carrigan will go for Train. I think he'll ban out Mirage and leave Train in there, simply because even though both teams play it quite a lot, FaZe have been looking good on Train. But if you look at Mousesports' last results as well, they're not particularly impressive. They obviously had that massive choke. Their T side was horrible against QBF, going down 14-16. Got smashed by Cloud9. Won a couple of games earlier on it, but just this tournament so far, they're probably not feeling very comfortable on it. So if I'm FaZe, I'm pushing it towards Train, which leaves us with these 3 maps here is what I think it's going to come through. Inferno, I think will go the way of FaZe. Nuke, I actually think Mouse will win this one. And then Train, I think will swing back towards FaZe. So I think this will be a 2-1 scoreline, and hopefully a very entertaining game, as we saw at ECS finals, that they can be very entertaining. But I think FaZe are ultimately going to win this one 2-1. So I'm going to lock them in there straight away. So map number 2, or game number 2 here, Navi and QBF. Moving into their game, it's also a little bit interesting. What am I doing here? I don't want that tab. I want this one. So both teams again love Inferno, but as with the previous game, very easy permabans, Cash and Overpass for QB Fire. As you can see, both teams have 1 map they never play. So then this leaves us going into the first pick. I think Inferno is the obvious one for Navi, despite it being both the team's strongest maps. If we look at the past games here, for either team, we'll see looking very strong on it here. Navi, they've won all 4 of their games here, and one of them actually being against QBF in the first round, 16-8. And then if we go back over here, even though they have a 70% win rate over 10 maps, it's not that impressive, to be honest. They have, from this tournament in particular, obviously they lost to Navi already. FaZe and Envious, 13 and 12 rounds respectively. Flash is not a good team. Envious didn't have RPK as he was extremely ill. This win against Gambit you could potentially say is legit, but I think overall you got to favour Navi, and they've got to favour themselves here on Inferno, so that's going to be their pick. And this is where things get a little bit dicey. We don't know much about QBF, but I think the Train pick is going to come in, and this is simply just from their previous matches in this tournament. So they played a lot of Inferno, as you can see here. A lot of Inferno games. There's a Train game in here, and Cash obviously is one they liked, but Cash has already been banned out by Navi, so that's not an option for them. So it's either Train, or they did play one Mirage game, but they did get stomped by FaZe Clan. So I think they're probably going to go for the Train pick. They showed they have a good CT side, even though Mouse did choke in that game. I think they've still got a decent CT side. On the Train, I think their T side could maybe use a little bit of work though, but I didn't see this other game here. Sorry if you heard that in the background. I didn't see this game between Vanguard, but Vanguard I can't really put too much stock into it. So I think the maps are going to come out like this. I think Nuke then gets banned from Navi. They could maybe ban a Mirage, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think Mirage is a better map for someone like Simple to take over. And I think if you're Navi, you want Simple to take over. He's your man. Same with Inferno. Simple's very hard to stop there. I think Cobble is the ban for QB Fire, but again, as I said, we have so little data on them. It's actually kind of hard for me to work out what they're going to play. I mean, they've got a couple of Cobble games here, a couple of Mirage games. There's a Nuke game in there, so I'm not actually sure about this one. They could ban anything here. But I'm gonna guess Cobble, more of a guess than anything. A little bit educated, but not too much. Then I think Navi will leave it towards Mirage simply because it's a good map for AWPing. And I actually think this one will go 2-0. My favorite player, or the player I think has the most potential on QBF, is Waterfalls, and obviously he's the AWPer. And the problem for him is he's going up against Simple, who's also an AWPer and incredibly talented, and you find it very hard to stop him. So I think Waterfalls might struggle a little bit here, maybe with a bit of lack of experience. And I mean, shows here, even if you have experience, no one can really stop Simple anyway. So I think this one could go 2-0 because Train being a very good map for the AWP, and say Simple can take over. I put a lot of stock into Simple. He's a very good player. And if you think he isn't, I think you're a little bit silly. But I think this one could go 2-0, but I think this one could go anywhere. Navi, obviously, got players who aren't performing. Edward just doesn't seem to be able to do anything, and other players as well. Flamey's very hot and cold. Probably more cold than anything lately, but he has a few hot spots. But yeah, I think this one could probably go towards Navi, but anything could happen really. Obviously the worst of the quarterfinals, I'm just going to go and say it because I think we all know it is. So G2 Cloud9, moving along. This one is another interesting one, but I think a little bit more clear cut on the vetoes. So what have I got down here? Trainer Nuke, very obvious. Nuke being the permaban straight away for, what do we call all of this? Cloud9, of course, sorry. And then, what's going to be the ban here? Just bear with me, I'll get there. Train, obviously the permaban here, and this is a great permaban, a great matchup for G2 Cloud9, even though both teams obviously are pretty good. If you're able to ban potentially Cloud9's first map and it's your permaban, that puts you at a huge advantage straight away. So that's a great win for G2 to straight away in the vetoes. Their picks, Mirage I think has to be the pick for Cloud9. Envious aren't known to play it a lot, they'll play it. They're comfortable enough on it, but it's not their best map. And Mirage obviously C9's most played map recently, and I think they are pretty comfortable on it. So I think that map's going to be coming towards Mirage. This pick here from G2 can be alternate, I think. I think they should go towards Cobble, is my personal opinion. I think they just have a greater advantage because Cloud9 aren't that good on Cobble. And I think Envious are a really good Cobble team. They just might not think they are. I think they have less confidence than they should do on Cobblestone, just from my previous, what I've seen from them there. But they could definitely pick a Cache, another map they're very comfortable on. But Cloud9's a little bit more comfortable on Cache than they are on Cobblestone from what I've seen. So I think a smarter pick would be to move towards Cobblestone, but I think G2 might pick Cache. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to stick with the Cobblestone just because I think that's the better pick here. So then obviously Cache goes out the window for Cloud9 simply because of how strong G2 are on it, and they're happier to play Inferno or Overpass. Inferno I think ends up being the final map solely because Overpass, I think G2 can play it, but I think they prefer an Inferno game. They're pretty comfortable on that map. I think the last map's going to be Inferno. This one could go anywhere. I think it will probably be a 2-1 in the favor of G2. Inferno, yeah, I think both teams can play it. I think this will be a close one actually. I think this will be a good game to watch, so hopefully you know, check that one out. But I'm going to give it a 2-1 to G2. I think these first two maps go to each team. I think G2 could potentially upset a Mirage simply because of the form they're in. And when G2 hitting their shots, there's not really much you can do. So I think G2, with the form they're in, are going to win this one. They're going to come out straight away and just, yeah, tap heads and win it. Last one, SK Fnatic. This is another interesting one, and one I'm actually looking forward to a little bit. I'm looking forward to seeing Fnatic play. They've been relatively impressive. I've enjoyed watching them, especially Crims has been playing particularly well. So Nuke and Overpass, both the teams permabans. Overpass, well actually no, sorry, Nuke is the permaban of both teams here, which is interesting. However, I think SK just go and ban Nuke, and I don't know who bans first, I haven't gone that in depth. But I find Fnatic are making SK ban Nuke. You're the underdog team here. You want to play these upset games that can be very random at times. And I think the ultimate example of this was at IEM Oakland. NIP managed to push I think it was SK towards an Inferno match, which they managed to win. And even though SK is a better team, they're not comfortable on Inferno. And you want to push teams where they're not comfortable, because if you're the worst team, you want this more random element involved, because if everything's very structured and you're both on your best map, the better team's going to win more often than not. So I think Fnatic are going to force SK to ban Nuke here. If they're smart, they're going to ban Overpass themselves, simply because they're not good on Overpass. It's 0% over 3, and they're not good results. I've looked at them, but I'm not going to show you here simply because of time. And then I think SK are going to go for the safe pick and ban Nuke. So the next picks I think are relatively obvious, especially for Fnatic. You got to go for Inferno, as I just mentioned before. With NIP, SK are not that good on Inferno, and Fnatic aren't too bad on it. They're comfortable enough, and I think they have the best chance of winning this Inferno game if they can push it there. I think SK move towards Train, even though the Train is 60% win for Fnatic recently. I think they've lost to FaZe. The teams they've beaten haven't been good. You said a bit Optic, but I don't put too much stock into Optic there, especially that was on the 8th of the 12th. It's actually relatively recently, but I think Train is a very good map for SK. They're very comfortable on it. Fall, and they're all very good, especially on the CT side. I think you can't really go past that. I think that would be a solid pick for SK. I think Cobble ends up being the next ban for SK, simply because I think they want to push it towards Mirage. I think Fnatic have to ban Cash. As you can see, they don't play Cash. They don't like it. SK are okay on Cash, not their first pick, but one they can definitely play. As we saw, they had a pretty good game with FaZe the other day, and I don't think you want to be playing that if you are Fnatic. Maybe you push it there, but I think maybe not. You're going to try and push this towards Mirage. I think Fnatic might favour themselves, even though what I was saying before, I think because both teams are so good on it, it just favours SK because they're the better team. But I think we might end up on a Mirage here, strong for both teams. But we could maybe end up on a Cash. I think SK definitely ban Cobble here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think this is going to be our 3 maps. I'm pretty certain about this Train and Inferno. Now Inferno, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I mean, I think Train definitely goes with SK. Inferno could go either way for me. This is a bit of a 50-50. Obviously, as I said, SK aren't good on it, but they can turn up on this map. They can turn up on any map, just simply because they're SK, right? And especially against Fnatic, definitely put them a little bit lower. So I'm still going to favour SK here. Even if they don't get this win here, I think they're going to come out on Cash or Mirage or whatever's left here. I'm gonna favour SK pretty much. So I think 2-0, if not 2-1, in the way of SK. So that's my first round kind of veto breakdown. I'm just going to lock in my Pickems now in case you're interested, with some very light kind of breakdown. So we got Cloud9 SK. So if I'm just going to drag this over here, this is, I closed Cloud9, didn't I? You know what? Scrap that. I'm just going to tell you what I think without showing you the look. Now I'm just clicking everything. I should stop doing that. Now I'm going to just show you what I think is going to happen. I think the top one's pretty easy here with FaZe. I think no one's going to question that they're going to be better than Navi or QBF who comes through. Cloud9, and why did I hit Cloud9? Because I am silly. G2 versus SK Gaming. I think G2 come out on top of this one. The map pools, they're somewhat. They can play against each other. It's going to be relatively interesting. There's no huge favourites. They kind of like different maps. As I said, G2 aren't the best on Mirage. SK love a bit of Mirage. G2 like Inferno. SK don't really like Inferno. So I think there's ways both teams can push this. But ultimately, I think G2 are on form at the moment, and G2 on form are very hard to stop by anyone. SK could do it. They have Phelps though, so I'm going to think a little of that teamwork's maybe gone. I'm going to move towards G2. And then this final game, this is where things get real spicy. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Just everyone just shooting each other straight headshots all the time. But I'm actually going to favour G2. Simply because I want to make a different pick. I think FaZe, maybe you could argue with the favourites. They're probably hungry to win this major, especially after exiting so early last one. But I think that the French team have some motivations as well. But I'm going to go with G2 simply because I want to. And my Pickems, right? But that's it, guys. Make sure to check out my other content. Leave any feedback on this. Obviously, I have the face cam up again because it's not a gameplay thing. I thought I'd maybe try it again. Give me feedback on that. If you don't like it, tell me you don't like it. Tell me whatever you think about this one. Looking forward to it. So yeah, make sure to check out all these games, do your own Pickems, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.